50K. This is kind of
Oh yeah.
cool. I got to admit, I like a runner moving up in distance is always interesting. A runner who's still good at their primary distance, moving up in distance is even better. And she's obviously running a race distance that, track fans, marathon fans aren't familiar with, but she runs 2:59:54, just smashed the old record 3:07:20, averages out to 5:47. She went through the marathon 2:31 and change, just to give you a little bit of perspective about how quickly she was going. You could look at this result two ways, I guess. One, is this going to be a new thing for Linden? Is she can continue to move up? Maybe she does a 50-mile race next time. Obviously, that's a much bigger jump than jumping from marathon to 50K. Or you could look at this and say, she's a really, 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 really good all-around runner. And you go to the fall season. What are we going to have in the fall, Gordon? We're going to have major marathon on top of major marathon on top of major marathon. She's going to be in a good position to get a really high finish and maybe sneak out a win in one of those marathons, just because how the people are distributed in that race. And I thought it was interesting. She backed it up. She said that's what she was going for, and she backed it up and did it. So kudos to her. I like that she made this race something to watch.
Or you could look at it another way. It could be an indictment on the, dare I say it, people are going to get mad at me, an indictment on the quality of ultra running. That when
the 50K is not even, the ultra purists will tell you the 50K is not even like a real ultra distance, right? They'll say it's not even long enough. All I'm saying is, what's the main reason that marathoners' careers come to an end, would you say? Or even 10K runners, even 5K runners.
Joints. I don't.
Yeah, injuries. Yeah. And what does she go out and do? She runs a 31-mile race and has done all sorts of crazy training. She's put it on the internet for all to see. Like, she's pounding out mile after mile after mile, and just seems like she can roll with all of it. It just makes me think she's going to be able to go on and run at a high level. Because again, if you go through at 2:31 and then run for 5 more miles, well, I mean, you're obviously well under sub 2:30 shape, and if you get mid 2:20s, low 2:20s, you're in the mix in a major for sure, especially something that's plays to her strength like Boston and New York.
Yeah. What I was trying to say is a lot of our elite marathoners typically don't do what Des is doing. And so therefore that area is untapped with a lot of talented runners, right? Where it makes sense that she should be able to break their record by about 8 minutes or plus, because the people who are attempting 50K runs are not as talented as the Des Lindens and other marathoners of this world. So that's what I meant by it's an indictment, because it's like, hey, when the best of the best come and show up and race it, we can shatter your records. So I'm sure Des is like, hey, I could get all these world records. I should just like show up and like I can collect world records after world record after world record, because she's fit and that's all. I mean, she's talented, and the history of the 50K is not as notorious as the history as the marathon or the 10K.
Yeah. Well, again, it's a bigger ask though, because you go from 26 miles to 31 miles, and then if you go next to 50 miles, then you're jumping up 19 miles until your next distance. This is not moving up from the 5K to the 10K. It's true. It's a big jump. I mean, the previous record holder, Allie Dixon, was a marathoner too. I guess with 50K, you see it more. People run it as just, tacking onto a marathon as opposed to a 100-mile person dropping down. Like, that's a whole other, like, they're eating like whole meals when they're running like some of those ultra marathons. It's just a whole different, like, if you're stopping and getting breakfast during the race, it's just an entirely different event in my opinion. But you would think though, even 5 years ago, if I asked you, hey, Gordon, predict who in 5 years on the women's side is going to be really good at a 50K, you probably would have said Des Linden. Just the pace, the steadiness, it makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. I do agree with the whole idea that she's probably going to run multiple marathons this fall, and this is like her training for that to be able to put her body through. Like, I think it would be cool. I mean, she probably won't do this, but what if she tried to do like what's the two marathons that are like the same weekend? Is it
It's
Boston and Chicago?
Boston and Chicago, right? Back to back. Yeah.
Wouldn't it be wild if she tries to like finish top 20 in both or something like that? Like she
It would
purposely
be
paces like the Chicago one and then goes all out in the Boston.
it would be funny because we're all expecting somebody to do it, but it's just going to be a random person who's a 3-hour marathoner or a 4-hour marathon
Yeah,
to do it. And it would be funny if it's like, oh no, it's one of the greatest marathoners in U.S. history that ends up doing it.
it'll be great.
Yeah, 100%,
If she
100%.
was
And
able to like get top 10 in both, that would be like the greatest like performance of all time. Top 10 in back-to-back marathons.
yeah, and even the schedule's so cramped. Again, you could have maybe even a week between races, and it would still be impressive. But I agree,
Yeah.
the back to back would be something else. I'm looking at the schedule right now. Yeah, I think is it 10th and 11th or 9th and 10th? Is that when it is in October?
Yeah, I
I
think it's a
believe.
Sunday and Monday, right?
Okay,
Or is it a
yeah.
Saturday,
I,
Sunday? It's one of those.
let's see, Boston Marathon. Let's do some googling here. 2021, Monday, October 11th, and then
Yeah, and then
Chicago Marathon, Sunday,
October 10th.
October 10th. Yeah. Now here's the trouble though. You're going from Central Time to Eastern Time. So
So you lose an
you're
hour.
lose an hour of recovery. And
And then
every hour at
23
that
hour.
point would be valuable. Although Boston starts later in the
There you
day.
go.
Maybe you request you get in the earliest wave possible in Chicago and then go from
And
there.
again, the latest wave possible in Boston.